Imagine having no access to financial services, no checking account, no credit card, no health, property or life insurance, or no safe place for your savings. Nearly 2 billion people worldwide need financial inclusion so they can make the most of their resources and take part in their local economies. Since 2007, Pegasus Technologies is providing financial services solution, mobile money solutions and bill payment solutions in Uganda.
So Pegasus was or is a brainchild of two people, incidentally both called Ronald, myself and a colleague of mine called Ronald. And at the time both of us were employees of one of the utilities, National Water and Sewage Corporation. We'd both just returned from doing our master's degrees in the UK, and of course were employed to run an IT department of one of the government institutions. But we quickly realized as we went about our day's work that there was so much that could be improved by by just simple automation. One of the things that was endemic or prevalent at the time was that there was generally low collection of bills. Ideally, remember that when a bill had to be issued, a meter reader would come to your house, read a bill, go back, have that bill, that reading turned into a bill and brought to you. And when you got your bill, you had to go to the National Water offices, queue up and pay the bill. Now, we quickly realized that one of the limitations to that was that, number one, National Water had few offices scattered around Kampala. So there was a big distance someone had to walk to find one of the National Water offices to be able to pay their bill. That was problem number one. Problem number two is that National Water offices were open at the same time that people were in their offices. So someone trying to pay their bill had to literally leave their offices at the same time they were supposed to be working, go to a National Water office, queue up and pay this bill. So even the people that had a willingness to pay did not find the time to leave their offices during work time, traverse town to get to the nearest National Water offices, queue up, and then pay their bill. So already that had a problem. But so that is just from the payer's point of view. But even from the institution's point of view, it meant they always had queues at their front offices. They had to have armed security on premises because of money. They had to have bullion vans that come and collect this money and take it to the bank. Then they had people that would go to the cash offices, pull out cash, and say, I'll pay you back tomorrow, and never pay it back. So, just to put in perspective, the amount of money that the bullion vans got paid by National Water in 2007 when we did this solution was about 700 million per year, just to get money from premises and take it to the banks. Now, remember again, this was before mobile money came. Our idea at the time was, why don't we leave National Water to do water sales and services, and we allow the collectors of money, the professionals in collecting money to do that? Why don't we get the banks to collect money on behalf of National Water? The question that came up was, how then does National Water get notified of the collection at the bank in real time? And that is where integration came in. So we had to develop the very first bill payment API that allowed banks to collect for National Water in real time and notify National Water that a payment has been made. That's to say, you'd go to a counter, pay over the counter, and the bank would automatically notify the National Water billing system that your payment has been received. Now that solved a couple of problems, but some remained. One of the problems it solved is that National Water closed its cash offices. So they saved all the money that went into the administration of cash that I've already described. Armed security, bullion vans, change, money leakages, and so on. All of those problems were solved. But they also solved the problem of fewer branches. Because National Water had few branches, now they had the entire bank network that would help them to collect on their behalf. It still did not solve the problem of convenience, because someone had to leave their offices and go to the bank to make that payment. It did not solve the problem of someone leaving during work hours, which was 8 to 5, which is the same time that banks are open. By pure serendipity, mobile money was born in 2008. And we quickly noticed that if someone could send money to a person, what was P2P at the time, if someone could send money to an individual, they could also send money to an institution. And so the concept of bill payments using mobile money was born. The idea that I can send money to a friend, why can't I send the same money to my account at an institution and pay my bill? And so we partnered with MTN at the time, one of the very first to do bill payments, and we became an aggregator of MTN to allow people to be able to pay their bills using mobile money. With those two innovations alone, the collections of national water grew almost 400%. So riding on that success, of course, we formed Pegasus Technologies and then exported the same technology to Umeme. So that was how Pegasus Technologies was born. But remember that having done that, we now had a concept of an institution being able to collect money from payers. That is what we refer to as collections. URA could collect, National Water could collect, KCCA at the time we'd enabled KCCA to collect. The one thing that was missing is, can institutions also be able to pay out? So we had the conversation around collection was done. We even had schools now that were brought on. Makerere University was brought on in a system called MacPay, where you could pay your university fees. But again, this was just institutions being able to collect money from individuals. In 2010, we partnered with the Gates Foundation through a company called VitalWave to be able to enable payouts. So now we're about to complete the circle. We not only had institutions being able to collect, we also had to empower institutions to be able, with one instruction, to make a bulk payment. So that was the second transition of Pegasus Technologies, where we moved from just enabling institutions to collect to now enabling institutions to pay out. And so we partnered with them, and we got all the USAID implementing partners, STAR, JSI, EC, to be able to pay a World Food Program. When people attended trainings, they no longer had to carry money in vans to go and pay these people. So now they could, with one instruction at a computer, quote mobile numbers of the beneficiaries and send one instruction, and all of the people that attended the training were paid. So that was the second loop that we did. The third loop that we did, and remember that at this point we were purely a technology company. All we did was we enabled technology to happen. But again, we partnered with UNCDF to be able to digitize a value chain, an agriculture value chain, which my colleague has already alluded to. And we quickly realized that it was not just a matter of digitizing payments, because when we went to the rural areas, it was easy to say, let the cooperative pay the farmers using mobile money. But what does the farmer then use the mobile money for? And that was the stark challenge that faced us at the time. What happens when an institution has paid per person using mobile money? How do they make use of this mobile money? How are we just transferring the burden of carrying cash from the cooperative to the farmer? How do we enable the farmer to be able, number one, either to save that money, or number two, to withdraw it, or number three, to make an onward payment with it? And so we formed what we called the distribution network. So we transitioned from purely a technology company to now also a distribution company, where we had to set up agents in those areas, facilitate those agents, make sure they have sufficient float when payments are done to pay these people. We then also had to set up merchant network, so that if a farmer got paid using mobile money, he could use that money to pay school fees for his child. He could use that money to pay to a clinic without having to withdraw it. So we had to complete the entire loop. But that also meant going into distribution. So we're now no longer purely a technology company. We had morphed into a technology company on the one hand and a distribution company on the other, because we had to sign up agents. We had to make sure the agents are well floated. We had to make sure we sign up the farmers to get mobile money. Those that didn't have phones, we went into providing phones using partnering with FinTechs. Those that got phones had to be registered for mobile money and given numbers. So our business model completely morphed from developing technology purely to now being able to recruit and service agents and merchants and so on and so forth. Of course, we then also realized that there were other people that needed to move money beyond the borders, and this was a concept of cards. How does someone with a card in UK be able to pay a bill payment at Umeme? How do they pay a bill payment at National Water for their mother? And so we had to go into a process called PCI DSS certification. PCI is payment card industry data security standard. You have to go a certification that allows you to be able to do card payments. So we did that and brought card into the fold of people of sources. So now what we had was a complete ecosystem that allowed people to pay using different channels. And when I talk about channels here, I'm talking about a feature phone like USSD. I'm talking about mobile app. I'm talking about web. Those are the channels, over the counter or at a point of sale terminal using cash. So those are the 5 channels. But also the source of funds. When you're paying using, say, USSD, where is your source of funds? Can you pull money from your bank account directly and pay a bill? Can you pay? Can you take cash and pay a water bill at an agent? So not only did we enable different channels, we also enable different sources of funds. Bank account, mobile wallet, card, cash. So those were the sources of funds over the different channels. And so for us, our quest has been a unification of a payments gateway. Can we have a unified payment gateway where someone using any channel, having his money in any form, can use it to settle a bill, whether it's a government bill or a private bill or a P2P or whatever. So our quest is really a unification, and it's a journey that we are walking. We are trying to get on as many banks as possible. We are trying to get on, of course, we have all the telecoms on, but that's a journey that we have taken as Pegasus Technologies, and it's a quest that we continue to pursue. It's not that we are going to, we don't develop websites for individuals or for companies. What we do is we provide platforms that any company that has an innovation can then plug into and use the rails that we have built over the years. What do I mean? If, for example, you want to develop a website that sells shoes, you have your website, you have your shoes that you want to sell. How do what you will allow you to do is to plug into Pegasus so that any of the people you sell to can pay you, and you receive that money they've paid you straight into your bank account in real time. And they can pay using card, they can pay using mobile money, they can pay using, and for you, you're totally abstracted from any of those things. So Pegasus deals with that. You just get your product, you plug into us, and by purely plugging into us, you already have an array of people that can pay for your product using any of those sources.
Pegasus is the leading payment service aggregator in the country with over 70% market share in both product mix and annual turnover, with mobile money aggregation targeting women through circles.
So we seek to extend this opportunity to young men and young women. There's a deliberate effort, of course, towards women because we feel there's been a bit of marginalization. So we ensure that young ladies finishing university, if they want opportunity to train with us, they're able to come and train with us. But even beyond training, if we find that there is any that has a special skill or ability, we are able to take them on. And we've had quite a number of them who have gone through us and have since moved on to either work with other institutions that we partner with, like banks, like mobile network operators. But we also have some among our developers, we have some among our business people, we have some among our accountants, we have an entire account section that has quite a number of women in it. We have developers who are ladies. So we like to give opportunity to this. And again, this is perhaps an announcement to everyone. If you want to come and train with us in real life situations, I think we offer an opportunity that not many companies offer. We offer an environment that tests your skills, that allows you to harness your hard work. It's hard work, I guarantee you, there's a lot of hard work. But an environment that allows you to engage your hard work and see the fruit of your effort in that hard work. So in that sense, we offer that unique opportunity to young ladies and young men fresh from university, even those that are still at university who just want to come and do a placement with us and so on. So that is what we are.
However, Pegasus Technologies can do better in their interoperability solutions with Moduloop open source software. This was revealed during their interaction with High People.
Moduloop is a very interesting concept. Again, I'm a bit biased because I think we were involved in the early stages of Moduloop and its formulation. So in a sense, we're already sold. I think the commonest example is that because the financial industry still has silos, you find that someone has a bank and a mobile wallet and is only able to move money between his bank and his mobile wallet. And as long as they can't move that money to another person who has another bank and another mobile wallet, beyond the concept of just P2P, the limitation will always remain. So what Mojaloop then comes to do is to say, how do we bridge all of those silos? How do we make sure that a person with a mobile wallet can send money or consume a service to another person on a totally different mobile wallet and still be able to extend payment? So for me, I believe it's the completion of that circle. It's not just, it would be an oversimplification to call it interoperability, because it goes beyond the concept of interoperability. I think it marries, as a technology, it marries different siloed financial islands and brings them together. And so, as for me as a practitioner in the field, I think it's something that's been long overdue. We are very eager to be involved with Mojaloop. We have our ideas. Of course, we've been in the market, in the industry quite long. We've seen a couple of things. So we are happy to, because it's open source, we are happy to contribute to it in terms of technology. We are also able to exchange ideas. We're happy to exchange ideas and to see how it can be made better. I think it offers a unique opportunity for young men and young women who are just starting out to be able to plug into some of these big institutions and corporations who for long have held their APIs privately or given them to just a few companies. So with Mojaloop coming on now with the concept of open APIs and allowing the different financial institutions to be able now to collaborate over a larger network, number one, it will give opportunity, but number two, we expect to see an exponential growth in digital transactions over the years. So we are excited about Mojaloop. It's something we look forward to working with. I think we've been there since the beginning, and now that we are coming towards the actual realization of it, we are quite grateful for that.
In addition to improving digital financial inclusion, Ronald Azaire, Managing Director, Pegasus, says there is need for more flexibility.
But the basic technology now for pushing financial inclusion is a mobile phone, at least as far as Africa is concerned. So if the penetration of mobile phone technology is still low, then clearly it's going to curtail the growth of financial inclusion. So what can be done? Number one, we can reduce the tax on mobile phones. Number two, and I'm glad that Uganda has begun to manufacture some of these things. Number two, we can have institutions like the ones that can afford, like the MTNs who will directly benefit, and the Airtels and the other MNOs. Give out some of these devices and someone pays for them over a period of time, fostering the penetration. I believe once penetration has gone down, there are sufficient rails now and technologies to be able to do financial inclusion. But beyond that, we need to see more businesses coming onto the platform. A lot of the supermarkets still take cash, and I don't understand why. They still take cash. Many of them do not have merchant services, digital merchant services. I'm glad that many of the banks have agreed to go digital, so we see a lot of money moving between mobile wallets and banks. But I believe for me the answer is in two things. Number one is the proliferation of the mobile phone in the population, and that can be done through tax reduction. It can be done through pay as you use ventures. Number two is to have many more services or merchants, if you like, joining the digital space.
Today has been the 23rd day of the 40 Days 40 FinTechs project organized by High People under its Include Everyone's program.
And it's awesome. We've had an engagement with pioneers of interoperability, aggregation giants of mobile financial services, and that is Pegasus. Of course, the discussion was very broad on financial inclusion and speaking to the different things that we are supposed to do as stakeholders in the ecosystem. But their contribution is not only transforming millions of lives, but it's also helping the economy become better. They are, for instance, one of the biggest taxpayers among the SMEs, and that's very commendable for being players in the sector of financial technology. Meaning that the things we speak to as financial technology players and advocates actually speak to growing our economy, because Pegasus is already contributing in a big way, paying taxes, employing more than 80 people that are Ugandans, training different tech guys and different entrepreneurs to have skills that help them develop amazing financial inclusion solutions. But I mean, as we speak about aggregation and integration, the most important element that comes in at the end is collaboration. And our partners, Mojalu Foundation, Modus Boss, Lex Technologies, all speak and agree to the sense of having a collaboration and interoperability as one of the most amazing things that we can do to scale financial inclusion and make sure that we have an economy that includes everyone.
Rita Kabanyoro, Smart 24.